And how about right now, Tony? We've got a special surprise that you had no idea about. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Mr. Sean Mooney.
Hey guys, been a minute. Been a
How
little
about
bit.
that?
How are you?
Sean Mooney. Sean freaking Mooney. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. You guys look fabulous too, by the way, and I have been keeping up. So
Yeah.
this is a surprise that I could possibly still look this good at 65. I know you're just blown away.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Because I know you're an old fucker, so I knew.
I am an old.
Yeah.
Yeah. We're
Man,
up there. It's hard to believe.
What's your take on horror movies? We've been talking about that, Sean.
Oh, I hate them.
Yeah.
Ever since I was a kid, I don't like the shock scare stuff, you know.
Right.
And I don't know what happened to me as a child, but
Right.
and my kids love them. They have tried to get me to go to them over the years. My wife loves them. I'm like, nope.
No.
I'm not one of those people. Some people love them. I'll take a comedy any day.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree, but
Yeah.
I was talking about that back in the day, and of course you and I are close to the same age. So back in the day, and these were movies that were made long before we were born, but like the old Dracula movies, the old Frankenstein movies, the old Mummy, the Boris Karloff, all those movies I loved.
Yeah.
I
I remember when the local stations, they had the local guy who was, maybe a weatherman or something, but on the weekend he'd dress up.
Right.
And we had a guy, honest to God, lived up the street from me. And it was the K-Gun station out here. And they called him Dr. Scar. And he lived on our street.
Right.
And he would host everybody did the stupid movies, the Blob or whatever was on.
Right.
And we were scared to death of the guy. And he lived it up. He loved to, and he was like a sales manager guy or something. But he was Dr. Scar. So maybe that's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's what did it to me.
That could have been it, because we had at a Richmond station, Richmond, Virginia station, was called Shock Theater with Bowman Body, and the guy would come out of a casket with his face painted all white and intro these terrible movies, and he would stand up and do commercials right there with one foot up on the casket, and he would talk about watermelons are now at sale at Food Lion. And here, hand me a watermelon. And it was, and now
those are great days. When the local markets, they had, everybody had these local personalities. We had also Marshall K-Gun, and he was the guy that would go around with the van, probably spent some time in prison after that, because
probably so.
He wasn't supposed to be near the kids, but he did some great balloon shapes.
I bet he did.
But those were the days, man. That's when they'd have the stupid game shows,
Right.
But
times have changed, my man. Times have changed, and
they sure have. They sure have.
I don't want to sound like an old man shouting at clouds, but as Conrad and Dave Silva know, I usually do.
Yeah,
I'm not
I like
so
to go
sure
on the front lawn, and anybody driving by just yell at them. Some days, crazy bastard Mooney out there.
Yeah, Lois does that.
Yeah,
she does. Did I tell you the story, Conrad? The guy that ran the stop sign right in front of our house?
No, I don't know this.
He ran up the stop sign, he ran real fast, and then he just paused. And we're right in front of the stop sign, and this is exactly what she did. Point her finger at him. She said, "Slow the fuck down and stop at a goddamn stop sign. Slowly." She repeated herself and going, "Oh my God."
Yeah. As he went for the 45 under the front seat. I don't do any, somebody's going to have to ram me before I get out. I mean, I am not like, okay, we're good. Yeah, fine. Cut me off right there. No problem. Locked up at 60. I'm staying.
That's a crazy time. It is. Well, hey, buddy, it's good to have you with us. This is a shock. You and I
I'm between newscasts,
Are you really?
Yeah.
When's your next newscast?
10 our time.
10 your time.
He's going to go get ready for the news in a few minutes. But I thought, hey, if we're watching prime time from your year-long excursion north, Tony, we might as well bring back an old friend, and who better than Mr. Sean Mooney?
Yeah, Sean, we had
there's nothing going on in the news anyway, right?
No,
nothing.
Nothing at all.
No. Yeah, it's nothing but bad news.
Yeah.
And it's about terrible people.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun doing our bits at prime time or Coliseum videos, didn't we? Back in.
Oh my God,
what a crew we had!
Yeah, and people don't really understand what we had back then because they don't realize how small the company was. And
Right.
Tony, you remember this when you went to Stanford, it was, it was Camelot.
Yeah.
And everybody knew everybody. You knew everybody in sales, Basil DeVito and all these people, everybody that was the, front office. You'd see them at the parties, and they would have these functions. And I used to say it was kind of like you're on the A or the B list.
Right.
And if you're on the A list, like you had to go to everything. I mean, it was cool at first, but then when, they're having, Vince is having something at Pat's house, and you're like, shit, I wanted to go to the fucking movies, and you'd have to go. I mean, that's what it was like back then.
Right.
But as far as what we did, we got away with frickin' murder. I mean,
we do
Alfred and I and the bits for Coliseum home video.
Yeah.
I've told the stories many times where when we started doing those Coliseum home videos, they didn't know what the hell they wanted to do with them. And it was kind of like, get Alfred and Sean to do them because they're at the studio all the time.
Right.
And we would go into that giant prop closet. Remember, it had the gigantic green doors of the studio, and we'd just go wander around and like, oh yeah, there's some tugboat something did last week. All right, I'll be the swabby. Here, put this on, Alfred. And we just went out and winged it.
Right.
Until Vince found out what we were doing. It was like, what the hell are they doing? And then they ended up doing it anyway. Later on, it was like we were brilliant, but he was shutting us down. But
we were ahead of our
some
time.
fun.
Yes,
we did. Tony, you and I had. I wish we would have. I wish you were there longer because we would have had a freaking blast.
Yeah.
And I told you that when we were at Starcast, and I said, God damn, I wish that you and I got to spend more time together because you have great comedic timing, and I'm an awesome straight man. I mean, ask any of them, Bobby and Gene. So I wish we would have done more, but we did have some fun.
I can remember you were talking about we knew everybody's names. I remember Kevin Graniff very, very well. Remember there was a guy in accounting named Benny Morales.
Oh yeah,
remember Benny? And we knew it was just. And I say so many times it was my greatest year in wrestling because I learned so much that 1 year about production, about how to produce a show, being a producer in an edit suite. Learned about I just and I came from a very small mom and pop's operation, so I did learn a lot, made a lot of friends, and of course, God bless him. I didn't know Alfred had passed away until many years later when Tommy Carlucci had told me that he had passed away, and that kind of broke my heart. Did you? Did you know he had passed away? Did you?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I haven't told this story many times, but when I had first come out to Arizona, and I kept in touch with Alfred, and you remember everything was going on then when everybody was leaving, and they had asked Alfred to, everybody was taking pay cuts.
Yeah,
and Alfred being the kind of person he was, all this principled and all this, and he ended up leaving and he went to Dallas to be with his kids.
Right.
Candy lived down there, and it wasn't too much longer after that he, started getting ill, and I had a friend of his who was kind of taking care of him called me, and he said, "Did you know Alfred?" Because I'd done a radio show out here, and I got Alfred on a few times, and I would call him, But this guy called me and he said, Alfred's in bad shape. He's in the hospital, and they took his foot. Because he had, the circulation of all the parts that had been, fused back together.
All right.
And so I got on a plane and I flew to Dallas. I don't know whatever the reason was, but something told me go. Yeah. And my wife at the time thought I was out of my freaking mind, but I did it. And I went down there, and I didn't know how to find him. I just knew the hospital, and went there, and I went to the desk, and they told me that he was in this room, whatever, 312, whatever. So I'm going up and down the hallways of this place, and I look in this room, and it's like 312. It's supposed to be him. It's one person in there, and I'm like, that's not him. And I just went down like that and went back and went to the thing. I said, no, I'm looking for Alfred Hayes, and they said, that's his room. And I go in there, and they had shaved his head. He had shrank. I don't know how much he weighed at the time. And he was like napping and woke up, and he couldn't believe that I was there. But I spent the day there, and like we went out, and Alfred, is such a proud person.
Right.
And I don't know how to explain it. I know he was glad I went there, but at the same time, he did not ever want me to see him like that.
Of course.
But to me, it just meant everything. And we laughed and talked, you know, the times and everything. And then, so I said, the guy was taking care of him. Anyway, I said, get him to call me once in a while, because he won't answer the phone.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, I don't know how much longer. It wasn't much longer after, and he passed away. Mm-hmm. And I cherished that. I don't know why, whatever, you know, because, you know, I had newborn and everything. It was just, like, you got to go. And I went, and to this day, I'm so glad, because I couldn't go back for the funeral, but the fact that I got to see him, but I know it was tough for him, because he was such a proud bastard, you know, like he didn't want anyone to see him like that. And it was, you know,